Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huey Poplock. This is the Sarasota Technology User Group, or STUG. It's Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, and we welcome you. Just a few words before I turn it over to Ann, and we'll then turn it over to our speaker for the evening. STUG meetings, you're invited to STUG Zoom meetings the first Wednesday each month, and that's what this is at 7 p.m. You must register for each meeting. Meetings are open to the public, and the classes and forums are for members only. However, most of them are put up on our STUG YouTube channel, and I will talk about that in just a moment. The classes and forums, we've got one coming up, actually several. Dave Gerber is hosting the Windows 10 tips, tricks, and tech talk every 2 weeks starting January 15th. So it'll be 15th and the 29th from noon till about 1:30. iPhone and iPad workshop series are Saturdays in January from 10 until noon, hosted by Bill Crow. Our iPhone and iPad workshops will continue with a series of classes on applications. We'll also address your questions at each session. And so it's going to be each of the Saturdays, and those are the topics. The STUG Help Desk is now scheduled for the third Wednesday of every month. The next meeting is January 20th from 1 to 2 p.m. That's bring your questions. We'll help you. There'll be lots of people there to help answer your questions, or we'll dig into them for you and try to get back and give you some answers. That's hosted by Jim Cerny. PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Marcia Berkey is hosting a series of monthly forums in January, and then I got in twice, but she's going to do them really well. Dates and times are below. The advanced PowerPoint will meet on the second Wednesday at 10:30 to 11:30. Word will meet the third Monday of each month from 2 to 3. And Excel will meet from 3:30 to 4:30 on the third Monday of each month. Free Google app overview. Jim Cerny will do that on Thursday, the January 21st from 1 to 2:30. We'll be talking about Gmail, Sheets, Docs, Slides, just Google in general. Also Google Earth, contacts, Google Maps, YouTube, and many, many more. The APCUG Home Automation for Seniors Workshop is January 13th. Doing it myself versus having it done. And they're talking about applications using lights, doorbells, locks, and cameras. In the last week, he'll be talking about the benefits of making it a do-it-yourself project. And you need to register by filling out a form. Information about that is in the email that goes out from STUG. Tech for Seniors is hosted by myself and Ron Brown, along with Bob G., who is on this call, Ray Baxter, and Dewey Cluse. STUG members are invited to attend this action-packed hour. We've done 41 weeks of it. Typical topics discuss Windows 10, Apple computers, Chromebooks, cutting the cord, security, purchase considerations, modems and routers, Starlink, Android and iPhones, and much, much more. Class and forum registration. To register for the STUG workshops, there are two methods depending upon the teacher. You may have to send an email to the instructor. They'll send you back the link, or you may have to contact the teacher. They'll give you a registration link. You go and you register, and that will send you back the link to the meeting. Please add your name tonight to the chat box. Click on the chat box, add the following. If you're a STUG member, your first and last name. If you're the word member, and if you know your member number, go ahead and put it in. If you're a visitor, please add the following: your first and last name and the city and state where you're located. And if you're a member of a user group, the member of the name of the group that you belong to. And thank you. And there's an example there: Sam Smith, member, and then the number, or Cindy Smith, Anytown, Georgia, Georgia Computer User Group. Don't forget the STUG website, hosted or taken care of by our webmaster, Marshall, and he's on tonight. And there's the address for it. And also, don't forget the STUG YouTube channel. Now, it's a long number there, and you don't have to write that down. Just go to YouTube and search for Sarasota Technology User Group. If you put in STUG, you're going to get a lot of information about tanks. You're not going to find us because a STUG is a tank. Anyway, there's videos of a lot of the forums and classes as well as these meetings. And it's free and it's on YouTube. Here are your leaders for STUG. I'm not going to read them all to you. You can see their names and our names. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our president, Ann Ross, who will then introduce our speaker. So let me unshare Ann, and you're ready to go. Don't forget to
I did it right too. Thank you so much, Huey, and welcome to everybody. Happy New Year. We're just delighted to see you all right now. We truly are. So thank you for coming. We're going to have a great night tonight. We're going to be hearing about the latest scams and frauds coming to a device near you. Deputy Cathy Duff has been with the sheriff's office for over 26 years. She grew up in the Venice area, and she is currently assigned to the Crime Prevention Unit. During her time with the sheriff's office, she has worked in the Patrol Bureau, Community Policing and Criminal Investigations Bureau. While assigned to the Criminal Investigation Bureau, Deputy Duff worked in white-collar crimes and then in Social Victims Unit specializing in crimes against children. Deputy Duff has earned her bachelor's degree in psychology, so watch out, and a master's degree in criminal justice administration from the University of South Florida. Since joining the Crime Prevention Unit, she has received her Crime Prevention Practitioner certification from the Florida Attorney General's Office and the Crime Prevention through Environmental Design designation. Deputy Duff was recognized as the Female Deputy of the Year in 2020 by the Women's Veterans of Foreign Wars organizations. So let's give a great welcome, STUG welcome, to Deputy Cathy Duff. Cathy.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Do I just hit the share screen? Yep. There we go. You give me, be patient with me for just a second. There, thank you. So, yeah, I am Cathy Duff, and I work in the Crime Prevention Unit, the Sheriff's Office. So if you ever need anything as far as your things, you get something in the mail or something seems questionable to you and you want to run it by somebody, I can always take it and run it upstairs to our detective bureau and see if they know anything about it. But we're here for you. So we're a community resource, so we're happy to assist you with whatever needs that you may have. And I'm here representing our new Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, who was sworn in yesterday. So on behalf of the sheriff and myself, thank you for inviting me to come speak with you. To be honest, I'm a little intimidated because I think you guys know a lot more about technology than I do. And this stuff may be things that you are already familiar with, but I'm going to run through my PowerPoint. So what we've been seeing a lot of lately are the COVID-19 scams. And we have had quite a lot of scams involving people claiming they're saying that if you give us money, then you can get out of pocket, you'll get the vaccine. Well, the vaccines are free of charge. Nobody should ever ask you for any money to get that vaccine. The vaccine is paid for through the state and your insurance company, and there is never a fee for that. Something else they've been doing is, well, the vaccine is free, but the actual administration of the vaccine, there's a cost, and that is not true. The vaccine is free for anybody who is able to get themselves registered and get an appointment to be able to get the vaccine. So there are some scammers out there saying, well, if you pay us some money, we can get you up higher up on the list, or we can put you at the top of the list so you can get the vaccine before other people. And again, that is a scam, and that is not true. There's advertisements now on social media that you can get the vaccine, or these marketing companies that we will sell you the vaccine and they'll mail it to you in the mail. And if you ever see any of those things, all of those are scams. None of that is true. The only way to legitimately get the vaccine is right now in Sarasota County, you'll have to contact the Department of Health here in Sarasota and get an appointment to get that vaccine. But there is no other way at this time to get that vaccine legitimately. The other big scam we've been seeing lately are the stimulus checks. So the IRS is putting out a warning to residents and to people that if you get a text message from the IRS regarding your stimulus check, please be skeptical. I included a text that one of our detectives had from one of the cases he was investigating, but this text promises stimulus checks in change for personal information. So this text, the further action is required to accept payment into your account. So what they're asking for, they have a link that you can click on. And when you click on that link, it asks you for personal information such as your social security number, your insurance number, and it's also asking you for your bank account number so that they could deposit the money into your account. Again, this is not legitimate, and the IRS is not going to send anybody a text message. The way that people get their stimulus check is if you filed your income taxes and you have direct deposit, the money will be directly deposited into your account. Or if you get a paper check, then the check will be mailed to you. So they're never going to send you an email. They're never going to call on the phone. And they're never going to ask you for personal information in order for you to get your stimulus check. So we have been seeing an enormous amount this, with the COVID cases, people aren't going out shopping. So people are all shopping online now. So this Christmas season, there are more people that shopped online than ever before. So we are seeing a lot of phishing scams are happening. So the phishing scams, if you're not familiar with that is you'll get an email from a company that you may do business with, and the email, when you open that email up, it looks like a legitimate email. And usually there's a link on that email that they ask you to click on. And when you click on that link, you've either put a virus on your computer or it's going to ask you for personal information, and it's not legitimate. But we have seen a large increase in the number of phishing emails that people are receiving. So I have one of the emails that have been going around is from, because everyone's shopping on Amazon now. So one of the big Amazon, the phishing emails are they're receiving emails from something that looks like Amazon. It looks like a legitimate Amazon account and or email page. And on the email, it's saying that there's a problem with your account, or we detected fraud on your account, or somebody's using your account and now your account is locked. And so you have to go to this link and click on that link, enter your password and your username to be able to repair or unlock your account. So, but if you look at the email, there's some things to look for to see if the email is legitimate or not. So up at the top of the screen, if you can see my cursor up here, so that's the web address for where this email is coming from. So it's just like when you get a letter in the mail, you have the return address. Well, this is the return address. So if you were to take your mouse and just put it over the top of that email address, it'll tell you where that email is originating from. So if you were to look at that, this particular case, they didn't even spell Amazon correctly. So it'll tell you, you'll know right away that it's not a legitimate email. Also, if you look at it, this email is very generic. The email says, "Dear client." So if it's a legitimate email, they will call you by your name. And then if you come down here to the link that they want you to click on, again, if you just hover over the link, it'll tell you where that link is taking you to. And if it says something other than Amazon, then you know that it's not legitimate. So what I recommend to people is if you get an email that says there's a problem with one of your accounts, I would log that off, go to my legitimate account, and then check my account directly, or you can always call customer service for that business and make sure, check on your account that way. But don't ever click on any of the links that they send you. I never click on any links. I turn I'll close down my email, and then I'll either call customer service or I'll go to my account and check on it directly. But the phishing emails that we've been seeing we've gotten quite a lot of people are being scammed. The other thing to look for are grammatical errors and typos, because a lot of these emails are coming from other countries. English is not their first language, so there's oftentimes a lot of typographical and grammatical errors in those emails. You know, we recommend that you use the two-factor authentication. And that's probably right now, from what I understand, is probably the safest way to do transactions on the internet. And if you're not familiar with two-factor authentication, what that is when you go to a website, say your bank, and you put your username and your password in there, then you'll have to, if you sign up for the two-factor authentication, what they'll do is they'll send you a text message to your phone with a code on it. Then you have to enter that code as well to be able to log into your accounts. So if most of the businesses, legitimate businesses and banks now are asking you to sign up for that two-factor authentication, and I always recommend that you sign up for that. It's another layer of protection for your accounts. And the other thing I wanted to throw out there to you about bank accounts, if you are traveling or you want to check your bank account, I always recommend that you download the mobile app from your bank on your phone and use that to check your bank account. Don't go to, a lot of people use like their Safari or their web browser on their phone, and they'll go to their web browser, they'll put in, Bank of America to go to their bank account and then click on the login. We don't recommend that you do that. There are a lot more protections in place if you use the bank's mobile app and download their mobile app and access your bank account through that app rather than to use your web browser or Safari to go to your bank accounts. And please set strong passwords. I feel like you guys probably are very familiar with that anyway, but setting strong passwords is important, and to change them often. If some of you may have seen in the newspaper or on TV a couple months ago, I think it was in October, there was a swatting incident that happened down in Northport, where the person called the Northport Police Department and said that a man came home and caught his wife in bed with another man and murdered the man and is holding the wife, kidnapped the wife and is holding her at gunpoint. So they sent the SWAT team out and they discovered that it was a swatting incident. And what had happened was somebody this lady used the same password for everything. And they were able to obtain her password and from her password from her email. Once they got that password, they were able to hack into her Ring camera that was on her house. And then when the SWAT team arrived, the hacker was yelling profanity through that Ring camera at the officers. They discovered that the man who, the husband, he was actually out of town on business at the time. When the SWAT team got there, they called the lady. She answered the phone. She sounded fine and asked her to step outside. She was nervous to step outside because now she thought that was a scam. But they said, look out the window, you'll see the SWAT truck. And she looked out the window and saw the SWAT truck, and then she stepped outside. But it all came about because she didn't have strong passwords, and she used the same password for everything. So I always recommend using a password manager. It's an easier way to manage all of your passwords. You only have to remember one password. Another trick that I've used in the past is I use a password phrase. So, for example, this is not my password, but my password phrase would be, I like donuts. So instead of using the letter I, I'll use the number 1. Instead of using the letter S, I'll use the $. That way I have numbers and symbols, a long password. And then to make it unique for each company or business, I would say I would use I like donuts AMZ for my Amazon account, or I like donuts for WAL for my Walmart account. In this way it's unique to each business and each company, each website. And I've got letters and numbers. It's just, that's one of the tricks I used to use. But now I use a password manager, which is something that I recommend. They have these bad guys that have they call them password grabbers. And they are programs that when you use your email and your password, they try to figure out what your password is, and they try to guess at what it is. And they have a computer program that goes through possible passwords to try and identify what your password is. So we recommend you don't use anything that, like your dog's name or your birthday or things that are simple like that, because that password grabber might be able to guess what your password is. So make your passwords difficult. I don't know if any of you have seen this on social media. They have these little games and little questionnaires where they will ask you for things like your first job, your favorite food, your pet's name, your children's name, your favorite restaurant. And what they're doing is they are gathering up this personal information from you. And that personal information are usually the security questions that are asked when you're signing up for different websites. So, protect your passwords. Stop giving people your personal information to guess your passwords and security questions. So if you see these things on Facebook, don't fill those out, the little questionnaires, the little puzzles, or little games where they're asking you what your personal information is. So please be mindful of what you put on the internet, because it could, personal information can be used to identify you, and I don't, if you're using something, I would recommend also on your emails and Facebook pages and your social media, I don't recommend that you use your real names. I think that could lead to identity theft and your information getting out there. So I don't recommend on your email that you use your name on that. I think you should use something other than that on when you're coming up with your emails and your social media pages and those types of things, just to help protect you from identity theft. Protect your social security numbers. They have, the scammers, that's a hot commodity right now. So if you go onto the dark web, this is what people are looking for now. They used to be credit card numbers and debit card numbers, but now they're looking for social security numbers. So your social security number can be used to open up credit under your name. So recently I was talking with one of my detectives, and a man discovered he was sent to collections, and the collection agency contacted him and said he owed $4,000 to a furniture company in another state. And what had happened was somebody used his social security number and a name. It wasn't even spelt correctly. It was spelt a little different, but they used his name and social security number to open up a loan account to purchase $4,000 in furniture. And then the collection agency started going after him because they thought he was responsible for that. So protect your social security numbers, because they are selling those numbers to be used for opening up, loan accounts and credit accounts with your social security number. Recently, I had a phone call from a lady who she lost $9,000. She got a phone call that they claimed to be from the Social Security Agency, and that they detected fraud with her social security number, and that they were going to suspend her account and she wouldn't be able to get her social security checks. So they told her she had to pay them $9,000 to clear her social security number so that she'd be able to receive her checks in the mail. So she ended up going and buying prepaid Visa cards in the amount of, she had to go to several different places to get enough to come up with $9,000 in prepaid cards, because you can only get them in $500 increments. So, and she sent the numbers from all of those cards to the scammer and lost $9,000. So the good thing was, I always recommend to people to use credit cards and not use debit cards. If you use your credit card and your credit card is compromised, the credit card company takes the loss on that. So the credit card company is going to fight that fraud to get their money back. If you use a debit card and there's fraud with the use of your debit card number, now you have to fight to get your money back. So it's safer for you to use a credit card than it is to use a debit card. So this particular lady she purchased the prepaid cards. $5,000 of it she used on her debit card, and $4,000 she used on her credit card. Well, the credit card company gave her back $4,000 because of that fraud, but she lost that $5,000 because she had used that on a debit card. So credit cards are always safer to use than debit cards. And there's the Federal Credit Card Protection Act that says that if your credit card number is compromised and is used to commit fraud at a place other than a point of sale where the credit card is not present, then you are not responsible for that fraud. So if someone's using your credit card number on the internet, or it's a card not present type of sale, then you are not going to be held liable for any of those charges. The credit card company, this federal law says the credit card company has to take the loss on that. So it is always safer to use credit cards than it is to use the debit cards. And what I like to do when I'm shopping on the internet is I get prepaid Visa cards. I got to pay $5 for the prepaid cards, but that's what I use to shop on the internet rather than using my own personal cards. So if there is a fraud on it, it's the amount of money that I put on that prepaid card and not on my credit card or my debit card. So another fraud that we've been seeing quite a lot of lately, and I know several people who have lost money, is the FPL scam. So people are getting telephone calls from someone claiming to be from Florida Power and Light, and they're saying that, well, your phone, you haven't paid your electric bill, and since you haven't paid your electric bill, the FPL is going to cut the power off to your house within the hour unless you pay that number. And they're spoofing the telephone numbers. They're using voice over internet they're using those computer generated phones. So when the caller ID comes up, it looks like the call is coming from FPL, but the call is really coming from these scammers. And people are, I had a lady recently, she received one of those phone calls. They said she owed $700 in her FPL bill. So she sent her credit card number to them to pay for her electric bill, only to find out that it was a scam. So if you receive, FPL is not going to call you and threaten to shut your electricity off in an hour if you don't pay immediately over the phone. So please be mindful when you get those telephone calls. What I tell people is, if you get the phone call and it's something suspicious, I tell them, hey, I'm busy right now. I can't talk to you. What's your name and your phone number? And I'll call you back. Then I go and look up the legitimate number for whatever business it is. For this one would be FPL. And I go to call FPL and ask them, if my account is okay, and call customer service. But yeah, and that's the other thing the scammers do, is they try to get people to feel that there's a sense of urgency and that you have to pay immediately. And if it's not done soon, that something bad is going to happen. And if you ever get phone calls like that, that it's something that has to be paid right now, please, red flags should be going up. And if anybody calls you on the phone and says something needs to be paid with a prepaid credit card, it's more than I would say it's a scam. Legitimate businesses will take your credit card number or whatever form of payment. But if they call you and say the only way to pay is with a prepaid card, I would pretty much put my money on it being a scam. And there are more fraudulent telephone calls made than legitimate phone calls. Isn't that crazy? More telephone calls are, I can't remember what the percentage, but 90% of phone calls being made now are scam calls, and 10% of calls are legitimate calls. So if you're getting telephone calls, things have gotten a lot better because that new legislation has gone in, the Telephone Act, that forced the telephone companies to try and cut down on the amount of spam calls that people are getting. And that has helped, but it hasn't gone away. It's still happening. So, but we're still, again, more phone calls are being made that are scams than legitimate phone calls. So as I was talking about earlier about your credit card, your social security numbers, what we recommend is that you run your credit report every year to check and make sure that there are not unauthorized charges that have been made using your social security number and your name. So what we recommend is at least once a year. You can actually get 3 free credit reports. You can go to the 3 credit reporting agencies. You can go to Equifax, TransUnion, and you can request a credit report from them. They'll give that to you for free. But you can actually get 3 credit reports a year. But on the screen, you'll see annualcreditreport.com, and that is where you can check your credit report. But I strongly recommend that you run your credit report every year just to make sure that somebody's not using your social security number without you knowing it. We had the Equifax data breach, and millions of people's social security numbers were exposed in that data breach. So if you think your social security numbers aren't out there, they probably are. So it's in your best interest to double check and make sure that somebody hasn't bought your social security number and is using it for illegal activity. We recommend that, you put at least a fraud alert on your account. And a fraud alert is free to put that on your account. The alert stays on there for 1 year. And what that is that if anybody tries to open up credit or establish credit in your name, that the credit reporting agency has to contact you first and verify that it is you that is opening up that credit or using that credit line. So I recommend that you sign up for those, the fraud alerts. But something that's more secure is an actual credit freeze that you can still use your open credit cards. So you can still use any credit cards that you currently have or any open lines of credit that you have, but any new credit, you won't be able to get any new credit because your account has been frozen. So what happens if you have frozen your account and you decide, well, I want to buy a car, so I need a car loan. You have to go to the credit reporting agencies, unlock your account, apply for that loan, and then put that credit freeze back in place after you've received that loan. But it's free to put those credit freeze on your account. And if you are not a person that uses credit very often, then it's a good way of protecting yourself. It's just kind of a hassle. If you want to get credit, then you have to take the credit freeze off to be able to get it. But this way, no one can use your social security number to open up credit in your name because your account has been frozen. So, and you can actually lock your social security number as well, but that's kind of questionable to me. Not questionable, but I mean, it causes other problems. So some people who have been the victim of identity theft and their social security number is out there and is being used can put that freeze on their social security number, but it causes other problems. So we only recommend that if you have a significant identity theft where your social security number is being used. But that is a protection that Social Security Administration has put in place now. And to get that, you need to contact the Social Security Administration and they can walk you through how to freeze your social security number. So on the screen, I have the 3 credit reporting agencies. If you want to put that fraud alert or the credit freeze onto your account, those are the 3 credit reporting agencies to do that with. And if you want to do those fraud alerts or a credit freeze, then you have to actually contact each of the credit reporting agencies to put those alerts and freezes in place. So you can't just call Equifax and think it's good for Experian and TransUnion as well. You have to actually contact the 3 credit reporting agencies to put those fraud alerts or those credit freezes onto your account. So I just wanted people to know, if you are the victim of any kind of crime, if your credit card is being used illegally or you're the victim of identity theft, I encourage people to please report that to the sheriff's office. The way the sheriff's office works now, we try to do things smarter. So we use technology now to try and focus our attention on what we call hotspots. So when we have crime analysts now that they take all of the crimes that are reported to the sheriff's office, they make crime maps up, and we look at those crime maps to determine where a significant amount of crimes are happening. And then when we see, well, there's an area right here, like we have a neighborhood maybe that's having a problem with vehicle burglaries. Well, we'll see that there's a whole bunch of vehicle burglaries in that area, and then we will focus our attention on that area to reduce crime in that area, in that place. But the problem is when people don't report that crime is happening, then we don't know that the crime has happened, and then we're not going to address that. So today I got a phone call from a community that has been experiencing bicycle thefts. They've had like over 20 bicycles stolen. And none of those bicycles were reported stolen to the sheriff's office. So when the lady called, she was angry and she's like, what is being done about all these bicycles being stolen? The sheriff's office isn't even patrolling our neighborhood. Nothing is being done. Well, when I went back to look to see, None of those bicycle thefts had been reported. So we don't know it's a problem. So we're not going to go out and address it because we don't know that there's a problem going on. So it's important that when people are victims of crime that they're calling in, even if it's something that's small or insignificant, to call and report that stuff to us so that we can see if it's a problem and then address that area. So to contact the sheriff's office, our non-emergency number is 316-1201. And a question I often get from people is, when do I call the non-emergency number and when do we call the emergency number? So what I tell people is if something is in progress, it's happening right now, the bad guy or the suspicious person is outside my house right now, and it's better than the law enforcement get there quicker, sooner than later, then just call 911. And the rule is that 911 is for imminent danger to persons or property is the rule. But if you need the police to get there quickly and it's better for them to be there again sooner than later, then call 911. Otherwise, if it's something that's happened in the past, so during the night, somebody had gotten into my car and stole change, then call the non-emergency number. But if it's in progress, it's happening now, there's somebody outside, there's a suspicious person, then call 911. And we now have the ability to send text messages to 911. When the Virginia Tech shooting happened, there were students that were locked in classrooms, and they were sending text messages to 911. And at the time, the 911 centers did not have the technology to accept those messages, so they never went anywhere. So as a result of that, pretty soon the whole country will have that ability to send text messages to 911. We have that here in our area, in Sarasota, Charlotte County, Manatee County, Pinellas County. We all have the ability now to send a text message to 911. So if you're going to send a text message to 911, you just put in where you put the telephone number or your contact name, you just put 911, and in the box where you put your message, you type your message in there. When you send a text message to 911, we always want your location first and then what the emergency is. What happens is a lot of people think, well, if I'm sending a text from my cell phone to 911, my phone has GPS and the police will be able to know my location by the GPS on my phone. Well, the GPS on your phone is only as good as the phone service that you're using. Some phone service, the GPS is spot on. Other phone service, it's not as accurate. So we always ask that you first give your location and then tell us what the emergency is. People say, well, Uber can find me, why can't the cops find me? But again, it comes down to how well your service provider's GPS is that they're using. So err on the side of caution and always give us your location first and then what the emergency is. And this is a great tool for people who are victims of domestic violence, or somebody is in your house and you're hiding in a closet, and if you were to talk, it would put you in danger, or a car accident. So we always prefer people to call us if they can, but if you can't, now you are able to send those text messages. If you send pictures or video, the call isn't going to go through. You can only send actual text messages through that service. And it's a great tool. And I tell people, I worked a case where, several cases where, the worst thing people can do when they're in an altercation with somebody is whip their phone out and say, that's it, I'm calling the cops. And then the other person is like, no, you're not. And they try to take their phone. And then, something that was verbal turns physical because they don't want them to call the police. Now there's you come up with whatever excuse you come up with, and you can send a text message to 911 without letting anybody know that that's what you're doing. So it's a great service that we offer now. Something else that we've started here at the Sheriff's Office is we now have a mobile app. So it's on Android or it's on iPhones. And the Sheriff's Office app has some pretty good information on it. It's free to download. You just go to your app store and download the app for free. And on that app, we have some, you get alerts. So if, say, the interstate is shut down, I-75 is shut down, there's an accident on the interstate, they'll send an alert out telling you the interstate is shut down at I-75 and Jacaranda, get on at Laurel Road, so you'll get those alerts. Also on there, they have calls for service. So if you see police in your neighborhood and you want to know what the call for service is that they're responding to, you just look for the address and you can click on that and it'll tell you what the call for service are the officers are responding to. It has the people who are in our jail. If you want to see if your neighbor got arrested again, you can see their mugshot if you want to. They have sex offender information on there, links to our Facebook page. So it's a nice tool to have, and it's free of charge. So again, it's a way for people to be keep themselves informed on things that are going on in our area. So that's the end of my presentation. Does anyone have questions for me about anything that I've talked about?
This is Judith Stratton. I have a tangentially related question. Is the sheriff's office still accepting unused medications?
Yes, ma'am. So our office is located off of Cattleman Road. It's on Cattle Ridge. It's 6010 Cattle Ridge Boulevard is our address now. And that's our main office there. And we do have a drop box for unused medications. You can also take it to any of the police stations. So Venice Police Department, Sarasota Police Department, Northport Police Department, at their front desks all have drop boxes that you can drop off your unused medications.
Okay, just as is? Or are they supposed to have water in the bottle or?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do if it's a liquid. You could
I mean, to add water to the medication, so it's not really.
No, what we ask, if you have like pills, then you take them out of the box and you just dump them into the box that we have. So we just ask, yeah, you take the pills and you just dump them in, and then they take them down to Fort Myers and they incinerate them. Am I saying that? Incinerate? Yes, they burn them.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
This is Isaac Alvaria. If you have an opportunity to pay for something through a PayPal account instead of entering your credit card number directly, is that an extra layer of safety?
Yes, it is. I every chance I can get to pay with PayPal, I pay with PayPal because there is another layer of protection using the card directly. Yes.
Thank you.
This is Suzanne Dudley. This is Suzanne Dudley. I'd like to find out how you use Password Manager.
The password manager, so you get a password manager, and there's several of them that are out there now. And you have one password, and you put all of your passwords into that password manager. So when you go to log on to different websites, it'll recognize your password. So you don't have to enter it either. It's right through your password.
Is it an app? Is it an app or?
Yeah, it's something you have to download. So I just downloaded it. So I got
okay.
Kathy, can you go ahead and
Deputy Duffy, this
unshare?
is Anna Goday. My question to you is, does the sheriff department still take dolls, bears, or anything for kids when they normally find a child that is in need? Are we still able to drop off dolls and bears and toys at the sheriff's office for orphan children?
Yes, we do. We still take those. They have to be new. We won't take used dolls. But yes, we still take them. And we have a bin that our deputies can take them and keeps them in their car. And our victim advocates, they use them a lot. Our victim advocates do. So yes, we still take them.
Okay, thank you.
I have
My
a
name is-
question.
Jim, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Great presentation, a lot of information I did not know. Thank you. My question is, if you do find a hotspot of scams of the same nature, how do you determine their source, and to what action can you possibly take on the internet to catch these people and make them stop?
Well, if we have, for example, we had, it was a restaurant, and the restaurant, there was a person at the restaurant that was skimming credit cards at the restaurant. And so actually one lady, nobody was reporting this. And then finally a lady had a brand new credit card. She had never used it anywhere. It was the first time she had used it. So she reported that. As a matter of fact, I was at a presentation and she came up to me at the presentation and was telling me about this credit card. So I encouraged her to contact our detective bureau, make a report. And it was determined that this guy that's what he'd been doing this for weeks. He was skimming credit cards. When you, at the restaurant, you'd give him your credit card. He would walk off into the back and do whatever with it and bring the bill back to you. Well, he was skimming cards. So we were able to identify him and arrest him and charge him for the card skimming. But it all came about because people were reporting that to us. Now, if it's like internet crimes, that's a little tricky, because then we have to try to determine where the crime is occurring at. And oftentimes they're using spoofed IP addresses, or they're using VPNs and they're encrypted, and we're not able to determine where those, where they're at or who they are. So those are a little bit more difficult. And often we send a lot of those cases, the internet cases, to the Federal Trade Commission and pass it on to them to follow up with those investigations. Because oftentimes it's taken people out of the country, and we can't really follow up on that from a local standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Deputy Cathy Duff?
Cathy, can you unshare?
Unshare? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop sharing. Sorry. There we go.
Okay.
Anything else from anyone? No? Well, thank you so much. I hope this was useful for everybody. Again, I work at the crime prevention at the sheriff's office. So if anybody has any questions or need any help, or we're a resource for you. So I might not be able to answer your question, but I certainly can direct you to somebody at our agency that can help. So please give us a call at the crime prevention office, and we'll be happy to help you with whatever needs that you might have from the sheriff's office. So thank you very much for inviting me to speak with you today.
Cathy, thank you so much. We're just thrilled that you were here for us tonight. And for those of us who don't know, and if you can, down at the bottom of your screen, you can stick up one of those kind of things that looks like an. We are pleased to have had you here, as we certainly are.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It was just great. And if there are no other questions, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, wait a minute.
Aha, I knew we might have something else. Yes, Bill.
I sent you a chat message. The chat message?
You sent me another one?
Yeah.
Bill?
Well, I sent you one.
Somehow I'm looking for it, and honestly,
Did you miss it?
check
your spam folder.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I have so many. Bill Crow, here's one. And the winner tonight, oh my goodness gracious.
Okay.
We have a winner for tonight. That was my question to Sharon. Sharon, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Because last month, Sharon was the winner. And I am just absolutely delighted to tell you that we have another winner for tonight. Now, this is for the $50 Amazon gift card. And we always give it to the most unsuspecting of persons that you would ever know. And tonight, our winner is, drum roll, Melinda Morgan. Melinda, are you still with us?
Take yourself off mute, Melinda. She is with us. There she is.
Yes.
Was with us. Oh, there you are, Melinda.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
How
My
about
goodness.
that? Sharon will be in touch with you and she will be getting that gift card over to you. So you've got $50 to spend in the new year, but be careful when you go to Amazon. As we know, we have to be careful whatever we do from now on. And thanks to the Deputy Cathy Duff, we are going to be ever so more careful than we ever were before.
I need Melinda Morgan's information.
Okay.
Melinda, you and Sharon can get together.
Okay. I will find, oops. All right, let me see, Sharon.
And before we close, you could even chat.
Yep, I'm trying to do that.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else to come up in front of this meeting tonight? I want to thank you all for being here. This was just great. We are delighted to have had Cathy, and we will see you all in the classes that are coming up. And if we don't, we'll see you again next month. My gosh, in February.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yep,
Thank
Happy New
you.
Year. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Cathy. Great presentation.
Yep.
Thank you, Cathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.